I am very proud to introduce HardLensMedia's special guest. We've actually interviewed him before last summer in July during the re-entry program that was over there by Clark and Lake.
Yes.
So thank you for joining HardLensMedia, Demel Hannah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, so I think we've been covering a lot of issues in regards to prisoner rights, the Exoneration Project, the prison industrial complex, police corruption. And we've been talking about the stories, but we rarely talk to individuals who've actually been a part in that system, have gotten out, and trying to reform their lives. And clearly, a system that's built against people who just get out of prison. So I think for our audience who are listening, can you please introduce yourself and give us a background to who you are?
Okay. My name is Demel Hannah. In 1997, I was apprehended on suspicion of attempted robbery, me and a friend of mine. And, to simplify everything, he had shared with them some information in regards of a robbery, murder that had occurred in 1996. So from him sharing the information with them, they wanted to talk to me. They asked me a few questions. I told them I didn't know anything about that. They transported me to 51st and Wentworth Homicide Division. So during my stay there, about 5-6 hours, I was interrogated. I was tortured. They stripped me of all my clothing. This was December 20th, so I was in the room. I was real cold. They put hands on me, which is typical. We're used to that, which is abnormal. Coming from an inner city, we're used to being beat up and brutalized by the police. So after hours and hours of interrogation and torture, I signed a false confession because I believe that this was the only way for me to stop the torture, stop the disrespect, the degradation. And, I didn't understand the gravity of what I was doing, the magnitude of what I was doing when I put my initials on that piece of paper. But from there, I was transported to the county, charged with murder. I think I stayed in the county about 9 months before my trial. I was found guilty of accountability because it was documented that I wasn't even there during the commission of this crime that occurred. My teacher testified. It was documentation. They acknowledged that after school I went to the YMCA, but because they scripted my confession saying that I had planned it, they said irregardless of whether or not I was there, I was responsible and accountable for the actions of my co-defendants. So I was sentenced to 35 years for murder and 10 years for armed robbery, ran consecutively. I fought. I was able to get some relief on appeal. They vacated 10 years and left me with 35. I did 18 years and 3 months. I've been out now roughly 20 months. You know what I mean? I'm still fighting right now. I'm still litigating my case, trying to really remove this asterisk off my reputation. But, it was a journey.
I think a lot of people don't understand really the whole process of once you're arrested. Because we've heard this story time and time again about people basically being made to make false confessions to the police. There's torture happening. I mean, there's most notoriously there was the infamous black site that was found some time ago during Mayor Emanuel's second election, to where it was shown that people of color were put into this black site, were tortured, were told to make false confessions in order that the police can move on to the next case. And it's happening right underneath our noses. So I think for you, when you were locked up, we've covered this story on HardLensMedia before in regards to bail bonds. What was that like for you, especially in regards to trying to get bail?
Well, they know the majority of us, unfortunately, we come from, it's intergenerational poverty, so we don't have any money. You know what I mean? So the majority of us can't even acquire proper representation, not excoriating the public defenders, because some of them, the majority of them do their job. I'm never going to excoriate the whole public defender's office blanketly. But, we have insufficient funds. We can't acquire proper representation, somebody that's really going to fight with gall and passion. So, I believe my bond was $500,000, 10%. The walk was for $50,000. My family didn't have that money. So only thing that I can hope was that it would come out in trial, that I was actually in school. After school, I went to the YMCA, and this couldn't have been the mentality, the mindset of someone that had orchestrated and masterminded such detailed, they said, in my confession, they said I had planned, me and my co-defendants, to rob this particular place because I knew that it was going to be inclement weather. Now, I've been around some, delinquents in my lifetime, but I've never, ever come in contact with someone that said, well, tomorrow I think we should do it because it's going to be raining. Never. You know what I mean? So, I'm like, they got to see that this is scripted, but unfortunately the jury didn't, and I was found guilty. But my bond was $50,000, which is always, we always get outrageous and enormous bonds for some reason that they know we can't make them. And I was unable to make that bond. Right. So I had to just sit.
Now, I think we all know that there's a system in which a person is in the courts or in the county and in prison. It's a continuous cycle. And for you, what was that process like? And what was the mindset that you had in order to survive? Because I'm pretty sure it must have been pretty strenuous to deal with.
Yeah, all while I was, even before I even knew what the term mental health really meant, I was always cognizant of really just staying in control of myself, my emotions. Because, when you watch Gangland and all these documentaries, you just see murders and the stabbings and the fightings, but that's just 10%. Prison is 90% psychological and mental. So I always tried to stay in control of my mental health. I didn't allow them to, because there's a lot of individuals, they go in, they sound, but something happened, depression sets in, and the institution comes with, well, why don't you take this medication? I never did anything like that. I always stayed in control of my mental health because it's very psychological. Prison is very psychological. You in a cell, and some institutions, Stateville, Menard, Pontiac, you in a cell, roughly 22 hours a day. You know what I mean? In Pontiac, you're only getting 1 shower a week. They say it's illegal. Well, they say legally they supposed to give you an hour out of your cell. But this is what they do in Menard and Pontiac if you're in segregation. They don't give you an hour out every day. They take you out one day and give you 5 hours. And Pontiac, I always describe it. Pontiac doesn't even have like a recreational yard. They have literally dog kennels. They take 16 to 20 people out and they put you in this little, as small as your bathroom. And you have like a pull-up bar and you can do that. And it's just so dehumanizing. You know what I mean? And that's what I dealt with. I always try to stay in control of my mental health. And, people always say I did a good job, but I was watching Khalif Browder, the young man that he did 3 years on Rikers Island, and he got out and he just couldn't adjust. You know what I mean? All the ugliness that he has seen in on the island. In prison, he just couldn't get rid of that out of his mind. And unfortunately, he had took his life because he just couldn't adjust, and I see that.
Now, I think hearing about this is pretty difficult for a lot of us to really understand. So were there any types of programs while you were in prison that offered any type of assistance or help to maybe at least push through or deal with this? Was there any kind of educational programs there? Because we always hear from the other side that there is programs to help rehabilitate criminals, to help them reintroduce themselves into society. Was there anything like that when you were locked up?
Well, I always say rehabilitation is a choice. It's not something that the institution force upon you.
Right.
You got to be willing. If you go in there with a certain behavior and you tell yourself the only way I'm going to be successful, I have to reform my behavior, you have to make that choice. But Stateville, Menard, and Pontiac, I believe when I was in Stateville, due to the retrospect and everything, if people heard about the videos that was released in mid-'90s, they had closed all the programs. Whatever program existed before 95, it was do away with. So
which videos are you referring to?
Retrospect, they had released some videos in like 1995 where they showed, all type of activity, drugs and, all type of activity that was going on in the prison in Stateville in particular. I wasn't there. I wasn't, privy of this activity, but this is what, is legendary, throughout the institution. And this is what was showed, on the TVs all around the world. And, but when I arrived in Stateville in 99, only program they had was the GED program. And the waiting list was like three years. You know what I mean? So it was hard to get in that Menard GED program, you know. And I believe the Springfield, you know, because that's like the headquarters of IDOC. I believe they feel as if the majority of those individuals in those particular prisons, Stateville and Menard, they're never getting out. There's no reason to put programs down there. So when I was in Stateville and Menard, the programs was non-existent. But when you start to go to low-level institutions such as Galesburg, Dixon, Illinois, River Danville, they have programs, you know, because I was able to get my associate's degree, you know, in the institution I was released from in 2016, Galesburg Hill Correctional Center. So, but like I say, rehabilitation that's a choice that the individual has to make. That's nothing that the institution is going to force upon you, and I believe they should.
Right. So we've all heard stories and reports about the brutality of prison life here in the United States. Internationally, the United States is number one in first world nations with the most incarcerated people, and most of the prison population in this country is made up of people of color. Sadly, there's a cycle that is set up that funnels prisoners right back into prison due to the lack of help and resources. Grassroots organizations and communities are demanding that there must be changes in regards to policy and the war on crime. As someone who's gotten out of prison, what type of legislation actions would you like to see done in regards to the rights of prisoners re-entering society? Because many of these prisoners who are in jail are mostly due to the war on drugs, and they're mostly in possession of, you know, cannabis products or maybe drugs. These are non-threatening crimes. They're not violent individuals, but when they do get out, the mentality in there, it's very brutal. So what would you like to see done, at least legislatively, at the federal level and maybe here at the state level here in Illinois? What needs to be done?
Well, I believe our legislators really need to hold a lot of the industries that operate in prison accountable. You know, you have a lot of industries that operate in prison, and they pay these guys $200-300, and that's a lot to an individual that doesn't have any family sending them money. But it should be some reciprocity, whereas the industry that's operating in the prison, they need to connect with, you know, organizations and other industries outside and make sure when the individual is released, he's coming straight into a job, you know, because this is the problem. A lot of us that come from the inner city, we've never had jobs, you know, some of us we don't even know how to fill out a job application. So when we get out, only thing we're trying to do is just meet our parole stipulations. Okay, I got to do anger management. They want me to do a mental health evaluation. Okay, they have me on home monitoring for 3 months. But after that, where do I go to get a job? You know, there's no jobs in my immediate reach. You know, I have to, if I want a job, I got to go to Batavia, you know, or Addison. I can't get out there. I don't have any transportation. Or I got to go to one of these particular staffing agencies. But a lot of that is seasonal. So I believe our legislators really need to hold, you know, these industries that operate in the prisons accountable and make them reciprocate in such a way when the guy get out or the young lady get out, they coming straight into a job. They don't have to search and stuff because, you know, if you're idle, you know, you're going to start to, you know, because you got to accumulate some type of funds. So if you have an idle mind, you may resort to alternative means in order to generate some income, which is typically bad.
Now, in our first interview that we did with you over there at the Clark and Lake Station in July, you talked about the grievance system and how you used it. A lot of our people don't really understand what the grievance system is. So basically, what does the grievance system do for prisoners, and how was your experience like when you used it?
Well, the grievance system is the only weapon that a prisoner really has. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I learned early, you know, you can't physically challenge a correction officer. You're going to lose that fight every time. I've seen guys try to do it. You're going to lose that fight. Sometimes you may not wake up. You know what I mean? So an older gentleman had told me, you know what I mean, the pen is mightier than the sword. You got to learn how to, you know, transfer whatever thoughts you have on paper legally and explain and assert how the prison has miswronged you, mistreated you, or denied you certain rights, right? So, you know, as I grew and developed, you know what I mean, I learned how to write and I learned how to really articulate on paper, you know, what the institution was omitting, you know what I mean, and not giving me. So the grievance system, the grievances are available like, they're like on your tier. You know, you can go to your counselor and say, I have an issue. I had, you know, this correction officer wrote me an infraction. I want to grieve it because I think the punishment that was rendered was unjust. You know what I mean? So you'll go get a grievance and you'll put down, they say I violated trading and trafficking, but they never said what I trafficked. You know what I mean? Or they never confiscated what I trafficked. She just say she sent me hand the gentleman a piece of paper. So the grievance system to me, you know, because a lot of times when you file grievances, just same way that you file an appeal or post-conviction and the judge say, well, I'm dismissing it based on frivolity and it don't have any merit. You know, the grievance system is the same way. You can file a grievance and the grievance officer, which is, you know, probably a correction officer, the grievance officer, you know, a counselor that's married to a correction officer, because corrections is like, it's a family business. You know what I mean? Corrections is a family business. The wife worked there, the husband works there, the son worked there, the grandfather. It's a family business because they built these prisons in rural communities. They're not built in inner cities. They built in rural communities. And these prisons in these rural communities generates economics in these rural communities. So a lot of times when you file a grievance, you know, you filing a grievance on a husband and the wife might be the grievance officer. So you're not going to get any just on the institutional level. So from the institution, you're going to have to go to Springfield, because Springfield, that is the prisoner review board. So you file a grievance to Springfield, and Springfield is fair. You know, if what you asserting is truth and exact, you know, Springfield will reverse the institutional decision and just tell them basically expunge that infraction from your record. You know, and incident had happened with me, whereas I had filed a grievance and they sent me to segregation for filing the grievance. So when I was in segregation, I spoke to the warden. I said, Warden, you know, we maintain First Amendment right, redress the courts, you know, for grievances. And he like, yeah. I said, well, I mean, I hurled any threats in the grievance. I should be released out of segregation. Well, he didn't release me. I did 30 days. So I filed a grievance for them sending me to SAG for filing the grievance. You know, they denied the grievance on the institutional level, but Springfield reversed the decision and told them to expunge that infraction out of my record. So I said the only way I can really assert to them that what they've been doing down here is wrong, I have to take them to court. So I filed a 1983 a class action against the institution, and I took them to federal court in I forgot what district. It's in Springfield. I forgot what district. But I took them to federal court, and we had a trial and everything. And they was like, "You took us to court?" Yes. You know what I mean? So the grievance system, if used properly, it's a powerful tool for a prisoner.
I think that's a very eye-opening fact that I don't think a lot of us really understood the challenges that a lot of prisoners have to face, especially in regards to getting their rights addressed. But let's now look at this other issue. When you were leaving prison, what were the challenges that you faced when you re-entered society?
The challenges I faced when I re-entered society, really just, you know, being away for so long, being technologically illiterate. You know, I had think that then was some of the advancements, you know, because I left the streets in 1997 and I was released last year, 2016. So
a lot has changed.
A lot has changed. You know what I mean? When I left the street, you know, only a certain people had cell phones, you know, like everybody has cell phones now. So, you know, that was part of the adjustment. I kind of knew that I wouldn't have that much of a difficult time finding employment, because I prepared myself, you know, the 18 years that I was in prison by going to school, you know, getting my GED, getting college certificates, getting my degree. So I was really, the whole time while I was in prison, I was in preparation. So when I got out, I wouldn't have such of a struggle, you know, acquiring gainful employment, you know. So I believe for me, my main struggle, you know, for me, because I have a great support system, which is my wife, you know, my main struggle for me was really just adjusting to the technology, you know, and really relearning my family, because I was telling the individual, a lot of my friends, you know, they have reoffended, you know, and I was telling the individual, I had did a speech, you know, a while back, And the professor had asked me, why do guys reoffend? I say, it's a lot of factors. One, psychological, because when you get out, when you be away from your family for so long, yeah, you want to get out. That's your objective, to get out, to reacclimate yourself back into, the fold of your family. But when you get out, you've been away for so long, you've changed, your family has changed. And psychologically, you could start sabotaging your freedom. Subconsciously, you could start telling yourself that I feel foreign out here. I feel foreign out here. These are the psychological effects of prison. I feel foreign out here. I need to go back to somewhere where people actually value me because my family don't anymore. So you start looking at prison as your family, as your dwelling place. So unfortunately, some of us that don't get the proper debriefing, it's like a Iraqi veteran. When he comes back, he's debriefed because he's seen so much trauma. It's the same way in prison. You're seeing so much trauma, and you're going through so many different psychological changes. You're going from this institution to this institution. You're seeing this guy kill his cellar. You're seeing this correction officer kill this guy. You're seeing a whole lot of stuff. You're enduring a whole lot of trauma. So if you don't get that proper debriefing when you get out, you're like a fish out of water. You know what I mean? And some of my friends, unfortunately, they have went back to prison. They have went back to the place where they feel is normal.
Now, I think what a lot of people want to know is, are there any programs that are helping prisoners? I mean, you mentioned in our interview that a few programs were helping you reacclimate, help you find jobs. Can you name at least a couple of them? What's their outreach towards the community, really?
Well, the organization that I am engaged with consistently is the Big Homies Club. What we do we do a mentorship to young men. We help young men and young women get jobs. We find them jobs. We work in conjunction with the mom and pops stores and companies within the community. Project prevention is a good one. Switch lanes. The guy, he just did something really historical. D Nash, he walked from Chicago to the White House. You know what I mean? And he has an organization called Guns to Hammers. I'm sorry, he gonna kill me if I get it wrong. I think it's Guns to Hammers and Hammers to Guns. He's trying to change the narrative. You know what I mean? Let's replace guns with hammers. Okay. Replace guns with hammers. Yes. Sorry, D Nash. But yes, he's trying to change the narrative in our community. Because it's such an influx of negative things in our community. So he's saying, we have tore down the community. Let's replace guns with hammers. So that's a good one. Safers was good because it was a part of my parole stipulations. I had to do my anger management there. So Safers have, after you do whatever stipulations, they have a job readiness program that you have to do from like 2 to 4 weeks. And after that, they take you to a job fair and they guarantee you employment. And during them first weeks of employment, they guarantee you transportation. It's a van that comes out, take you to and fro to work and everything. So Safers is a good one. It's a CAPS program on 117th and Ashland. I did them for like 2 weeks, but I know they have a successful turnout because a friend of mine, he did like 7 years and they got him in Ford and he's been there like 7 years now. So CAPS program, it's a bevy of programs, you know what I mean, that individuals can really take advantage of and stay from recidivating.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining HardLensMedia, Demel. You've really, I think, opened our eyes to the situation that a lot of us didn't know about or closed our eyes to or chose to ignore. And with the continuation of social media, we need to get these stories out here to really understand just how devastating our prison industrial complex is, what it does to people, and how it's basically targeted, communities of color and working class families. So we're going to leave it on that note.
Real quick, are those organizations on Facebook as well?
Yes. Project Prevention, Switching Lanes, From Guns to Hammers, the Big Homies Club, definitely. I don't know about Safers or the CAPS, but definitely those grassroots organizations, you can find them on social media. I know Facebook. I don't know about Twitter. I'm still kind of old fashioned.
Don't worry, I'm not even on Twitter yet.
Yeah, I don't know about Twitter, but definitely Facebook and Instagram, definitely.
All right, well, that's a very good note to end it on. Thank you, everyone who's been tuning in to listening to HardLensMedia. If you want to help us out, check out our Patreon page, and there you'll learn what you can do to contribute to this independent network that we are building here in Chicago. Peace to everyone. Thank you again, Demel, for joining HardLensMedia. Let's all do what we can to build a better future.
You're watching HardLensMedia.